Ukrainian drones have just struck one of Russia's largest oil refineries in Tuapse for the second time in 7 days. The exact same facility. And this time, oil was literally falling from the sky onto residential neighborhoods. People stepped outside only to feel raw, crude oil settling on their skin. But here is what's more important than the footage itself. Following this strike, Russian military bloggers, the very same people who, not long ago, were promising a swift victory, have begun writing in plain English, "We aren't coping. The attacks have become more frequent, the precision has increased, and if nothing changes, Russia will face serious problems by the end of the year." When the adversary begins to admit this out loud, it's no longer just about tactics, it's a signal. Now, let's look at the numbers. The Tuapse refinery is one of Russia's top 10 largest oil processing plants. It has a refining capacity of up to 12 million tons of crude oil per year. It is directly integrated with a deep-water export terminal on the Black Sea. In other words, this isn't just a factory. It is a critical hub for Russian oil exports. Take a look at this detail on the map. Tuapse is on the Black Sea coast. Striking this facility is a simultaneous blow to both refining and exporting. A double effect with a single action. For comparison, in March, following a series of strikes on Russia's Baltic ports, Moscow lost approximately $1 billion in a single week. Tuapse is an asset of comparable significance. It is vital to understand that this wasn't a random choice of target. It is a direct response to a specific political decision. Just 48 hours ago, the U.S. extended sanctions waivers on Russian oil. We discussed this in the last episode. The U.S. Treasury Department issued an emergency license to trade Russian oil until May 16th. Officially, this was due to the escalating situation around the Strait of Hormuz. Ukraine received that signal, and they responded in their own way. If political tools for pressuring Russian oil exports are weakened, kinetic tools take over. Drones are doing what sanctions have temporarily stopped doing. This is what the Ukrainian side unofficially calls the kinetic sanctions program, the methodical destruction of the infrastructure that feeds the Russian war machine. Now, for the most telling part, the reaction of the Russian military blogging community. The military blogger Milan Folev wrote bluntly, "Neither the air defense system nor the Ministry of Defense is capable of coping with the mass and regularity of Ukrainian drone attacks on Russian territory." He added that if nothing changes radically, Russia will face serious problems by the end of the year. This isn't a Ukrainian analyst. This is a Russian military blogger with an audience of hundreds of thousands. Another voice, Alexander Kachenko, and pay close attention to this quote as it is fundamental, writes, "The Ukrainians have moved to total war. The Ukrainian leadership is preparing to win. They have discarded all other options and staked everything on a military solution. I cannot say the same for us." He follows up with what is essentially a verdict for those expecting a quick victory in Donbass. "Under current circumstances, we will not be able to break their backbone. The Ukrainians will not leave Donetsk." Think about that. A Russian military blogger, speaking to tens of thousands, is openly admitting, "We cannot push Ukraine out of even the remains of the Donetsk region, the very territory for which, according to Moscow's official version, this entire war is being fought." He writes that Ukrainian forces have achieved tactical advantages in several sectors, specifically highlighting the Zaporizhzhia direction and the Dnipro line. He adds a crucial detail. Local commanders are sending rose-tinted reports up the chain of command that don't reflect the reality on the front. The leadership sees one picture, while the soldiers live in another. We've seen this before. It is precisely these discrepancies between reports and reality that opened doors for Ukrainian counterattacks in the Kharkiv region, near Kherson, and elsewhere. However, the main issue Kodnikov identifies as problem number one isn't weapons, hardware, or ammunition. It's people. Russians aren't signing contracts because they know how soldiers are treated on the front lines. The videos of Ukrainian drones eliminating Russian infantry aren't a secret. The entire country is watching them, and they are drawing their own conclusions. Meanwhile, another voice in the Russian segment raises a painful question. The army is at war, but the country is living as if it's peacetime. The gap between the front and the home front is massive. According to several Russian bloggers, this is becoming a strategic problem. When you put it all together, the picture is clear. Ukraine has found a working strategy of economic pressure through strikes on oil infrastructure. Precision is increasing. Frequency is increasing. The effect is cumulative. These are not one-off actions. This is a systemic campaign. Russian air defenses cannot cope. The Russian command is receiving a distorted view of the front. Recruitment is slowing down. Oil revenues are dropping. And all of this is being admitted by Russian sources themselves. A single strike doesn't change a war. 2 strikes on the same facility in 1 week is a trend. And a trend that continues for months is a strategy. Russia is burning, both literally and figuratively. The question is no longer whether they feel the pressure. The question is when this pressure will begin to change the decisions being made in Moscow. We will keep following these developments. Be sure to subscribe. The next episode will cover the results of the negotiations in Islamabad. Stay tuned.